Licensing and administrative procedures will come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Chairman King.
Here.
Vice Chair Wally. Here. Goldman.
Here.
Harless.
Here.
Hernandez. Here. Ferrero. Tracy King.
Here.
Patterson. Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Here.
A quorum is present. As a reminder, anyone present wishing to testify before the committee, please register in the kiosk located in the hallway behind the hearing rooms. If you require assistance in registering to testify, please contact my committee staff. Additionally, as stated in the previous hearings, there will be a time limit of 3 minutes per witness. If somebody testifies before you and you're going to say the same thing, ditto is an acceptable response. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. Members, we have quite the agenda today. Scheduling confused me. I didn't think we were having a hearing next week because of budget. They switched the budget, so we have an overwhelming agenda to get through today. So while we have a full dais, we're going to take up pending business so I know everybody can get to their other hearings. As the afternoon wanes on, please join me when you can. All right, are you ready? Okay. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 420. Members, this is Representative Slosson's bill that increases the penalty for supplying alcohol to minors. Representative Patterson moves that House Bill 420 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally.
Aye.
Goldman.
Aye.
Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye. 8 ayes, 0 nays. Motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 444. Members, this is Chair Thompson's bill directing funds from prosecuting illicit massage establishments to stay in the local jurisdiction. Representative Tracy King moves that House Bill 444 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House with recommendation that it do pass be printed and sent to the Committee on Local and Consent Calendars. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally.
Aye.
Goldman.
Aye.
Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye.
8-0.
There being 8 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 1759. Members, this is a bill by Representative Busey that allows professional sport teams charities to host their 50-50 raffles online. Chair moves that House Bill 1759 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally.
Aye.
Goldman.
Aye.
Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
There being 8 ayes and 0 nays, motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 2217. Members, this is Chair Button's bill that updates language in accountancy code. Representative Harless offers up committee substitute. Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. Substitute is adopted. Representative Harless moves that the bill 2217 as substitute be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally.
Aye.
Goldman.
Aye.
Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye.
8-0.
Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 2334. Members, what is it?
Yeah, you forgot to say, hold on.
Oh, we're not doing that one.
No, the next
Okay.
two, but hold on, you forgot to say that it passed
Oh.
the last time.
All right.
8-0.
There being 8 ayes and 0 nays, motion prevails.
Skip.
Okay. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 2427. Members, this is a bill by Chairman Kemple regarding persons licensed to perform property appraisals. Representative Goldman offers a committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. Substitute is adopted. Representative Goldman moves that House Bill 2427 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with a recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally.
Aye.
Goldman.
Aye.
Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Schaefer. Shaheen.
Aye.
Hold on.
Not here yet.
You're not here yet. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye. There being 8 ayes and 0 nays, motion prevails. Let the record reflect that Representative Shaheen has joined us. We're good? Okay. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 2453. Members, this is a bill by Chairman Ginn that allows professional licenses to be issued electronically. Representative Wally offers up committee substitute. Is there any objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The substitute is adopted. Representative Wally moves that House Bill 2453 as substitute be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk will call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally. Goldman. Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King. Patterson. Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye.
9-0.
There being 9 ayes and 0 nays, motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 3171. Members, this is a bill allowing distillers to sell at festivals and events. Chair moves that House Bill 3171 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House with recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk will call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally. Goldman. Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King. Patterson. Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye.
9-0.
There being 9 ayes and 0 nays, motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 3343. Members, this is the bill I laid out that would put the regulation of EV charging stations at TDLR. Representative Goldman moves that House Bill 3343 without amendment be reported favorably to the full House. Recommendation that it do pass be printed. Clerk will call the roll.
Vice Chair Wally. Goldman.
Aye.
Harless.
Aye.
Hernandez. Ferrero. Tracy King. Patterson. Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye.
8-1.
There being 8 ayes and 1 nay, the motion prevails. Chair lays out as pending business House Bill 3478. Members, this is a bill by Chairman Tracy King regarding mediation with a towing company of a motor carrier. Representative Harless offers up committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. Substitute is adopted. Representative Harless moves that House Bill 3478 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed. Clerk calls the roll.
Vice Chair Wally. Goldman. Harless. Hernandez. Herrero. Tracy King. Patterson. Schaefer. Shaheen. Thompson.
Aye.
Chair King.
Aye.
9-0.
There being 9 ayes and 0 nays, the motion prevails. Okay, members, thanks for sticking with me for the vote. We'll get started with Ms. Thompson. Is that where we're going?
I got to go out there.
Chair lays out House Bill 2313 and recognizes Chair Thompson to explain her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Mr. Chairman, members, Texas has made a great stride in training professionals in certain sectors on the signs of human trafficking. Transportation network companies, drivers are on the front line transporting people day and night, yet drivers may be transporting victims without even knowing it. Rider-share drivers can be valuable resources to law enforcement and should be trained to recognize the signs of human trafficking and how to report suspected trafficking to law enforcement. This bill seeks to provide human trafficking awareness and prevention training to each of its drivers and to set out minimum requirements for the companies to follow in doing so. Mr. Chairman and members, I have a witness here to help answer any questions. At this time, I'd like to reserve the right to close, and I am available for questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You will have that right. What are we calling up? Okay. Chair calls Mandy Kimball. Ms. Kimball, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Good morning, thank you. Mandy Kimball with Children at Risk, and I am in support of House Bill 2313. Last year, law enforcement in Dallas reached out to Children at Risk asking for help. They explained that they were working hard to combat human trafficking, like many law enforcement do across the state, making arrests and doing investigations. And during their investigations, they realized that traffickers are transporting girls from point A to point B that are 12, 13, 14-year-old girls transported at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning using transportation network companies. This is quite disturbing. There is a good story. One example is one night a girl got into the car, the driver didn't feel comfortable, and so rather than taking the girl to her destination, brought her to law enforcement, to a police station to seek help. This is what we want to happen. When a driver is placed in this situation, we want them to know and recognize the signs of what to look for. It's 2023. Many people, including myself, use transportation network companies, and drivers unwittingly are transporting some of these victims. Texas has made good strides, as Ms. Thompson said, and we have a lot of examples of who is getting trained, like law enforcement, teachers, healthcare providers, CPS workers, hospitality, truckers. It's now time for the transportation network companies. So we've worked with Uber on this bill language, and the legislation closely works with the Office of Attorney General, and we ask you to support this bill and please pass it out of committee.
Thank you. Members, questions for the witness? Seeing none, appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2313? Hearing none. Hearing none, Chair recognizes Chair Thompson to close on our bill.
Mr. Chairman, I close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If there's no objection, House Bill 2313 be left pending. Is there objection? Chair sees none. House Bill 2313 is left pending. Which? Oh, okay. Chair lays out House Bill 3772. Chair offers a committee substitute to House Bill 3772 and recognizes Chair Thompson to explain her bill.
Mr. Chairman, members, Texas lead the nation in fighting to combat human trafficking. And during the 86th session, the Texas Department of License and Regulation received an appropriation for full-time employees to establish an anti-trafficking unit to address the growing concern with illicit massage businesses. The unit collaborates with law enforcement community organizations. It conducts research and investigations to bring down illegal fronts for human trafficking and to connect victims with services. This bill merely codifies Texas Department of License and Regulations anti-trafficking unit, and it provides a clear statutory framework for the agency to continue its work. Mr. Chairman, I have a committee substitute. What the substitute does is merely a council draft, and it removes the language around the immediate effective date so that the bill will pass, if it passes, it would be effective in September rather than immediate. I would like to reserve the right to close, and I am available for questions.
Okay. Members, questions of Chair Thompson?
Mr. Chairman, and members, there is a resource witness if the committee wants to hear.
Any need for a resource witness? Hearing none? Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3772? Hearing none. Chair recognizes Chair Thompson to close on House Bill 3772.
I close, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Member Thompson. Committee substitute is withdrawn. If there's no objection, House Bill 3772 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3772 is left pending. 4115? Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 4115 and recognizes Chair Thompson to explain the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members, this is the Racing Commission Sunset Cleanup Bill. Last session, I helped continue the agency knowing significant changes were required in leadership. I work with the Racing Commission staff, including the new Executive Director, Amy Cook. This bill modernizes the Texas Racing Act and remedies many impediments facing the agency. Chief among them is to address the unlicensed activity occurring at brush tracks that we understand is occurring across the state. These brush tracks are largely ungoverned spaces that pose significant risk to the public as well as to the horses that are likely subject to inhumane treatment. The topic was the subject of an interim hearing in this committee last June, and this legislation, however, now seeks to address some of these changes. The bill closely aligns with appropriations decision being made to address the Racing Commission's method of financing going forward. Representative Cecil Bell signed on as a joint author, and I have room for 3 more if anybody want to sign on. I am working on a few additional changes in a committee substitute. Members, I have an Executive Director, Amy Cook, here to provide a brief remarks and answer any questions that you may have about Racing Commission. And with that, I'd like to reserve the right to close, and I'm available for questions.
Members' questions, Chair Thompson? Well, you will have your right to close. Let's see, we got witnesses? Where am I at? Okay. Chair calls Amy Cook. Ms. Cook, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Morning, Chairman King, Vice Chair Wally, members. For the record, my name is Amy Cook. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Racing Commission, and it is a great day to be a Texan. I would like to thank Representative Thompson for her leadership and engagement with the agency over the past year.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
would you please state your position?
I'm sorry, neutral on the bill.
Neutral, okay.
On the bill.
Appreciate it.
From the agency perspective, yes, sir. I also want to thank Representative Bell for his incredible leadership and engagement through the House Appropriations Committee process. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today to provide an overview of the transformational changes that the agency is making in response to the sunset concerns, some of which have been repeated since 1994. It has been my honor to serve in this position over the past 16 months, but it only took me a few days on the job to realize the incredible potential that the agency had to be a positive contributor to the public safety footprint across this state, as well as an important economic engine that powers Texas. The vision I set for this agency is to be the best state agency in Texas and the most professional racing commission in America. The way we accomplish that mission is through the critical feedback of our regulated industry and the investment made by the legislature. This support has already been demonstrated by the initial adoption of key items in our legislative appropriations request, which will assist us in addressing the legislative and fiscal challenges that we have. This hearing today provides an opportunity for the legislature to engage with the agency as we address statutory impediments that provide us the opportunity to enforce the Texas Racing Act statewide, not just within the fences of the racetrack. If enacted, House Bill 4115 would modernize the Texas Racing Act and allow this agency to become the regulatory body that our 14,000 licensees from across the state of Texas horse racing industry deserves now and in the future. Our agency, though, has 2 key missions. And I would ask you to take a moment today to consider that the future of horse racing in Texas is bright. For the first time in our history, our state is positioned to become the premier state for horse racing in the country. The equine industry in horse racing is a part of the historical and cultural heritage of Texas, dating back to 1881, when the first historical track in Texas, Fredericksburg, Texas, opened. The Texas competitive spirit still reigns supreme in the sport. Strengthening the agency strengthens the regulatory framework that protects all Texans and their business interests, not only from unlicensed activity, but also from federal intervention. One aspect of the statutory framework I would ask you to consider in the future is the future of greyhound racing in Texas. Based on numerous conversations with greyhound racetrack owners, the Texas Greyhound Association, and the industry stakeholders, the future is uncertain. There have been no live greyhound racing in Texas since 2020, and the sport has fallen out of favor nationwide. Therefore, the decision of the House Appropriations Committee to discontinue funding for greyhound regulation means that the time has come for the legislature to consider whether this agency whether the agency should continue with this mission. I look forward to your questions and encourage you to seek the input of the industry representatives here present today and throughout the state of Texas on the future growth of horse racing in Texas and
Thank
the
you,
next
Ms. Cook.
steps.
Members, are questions for the witness?
Yes, I have one.
Ms. Thompson.
I noticed you said that you see a bright future for this agency.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see a Texas Derby?
I do.
Thank you.
Members, are further questions of the witness? Hearing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Chair calls Tommy Asparty. Mr. Asparty, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
My name is Tommy Azzaparty. I am representing Gulf Coast Racing and myself, and I'm testifying today in favor of the bill, for the bill.
Please proceed.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members. In 2020, the Texas Sunset Commission report came out after their thorough review of the Texas Racing Commission, and one sentence stood out from all the others. It said that the Sunset Commission concluded, quote, the Texas Racing Commission can no longer effectively or efficiently regulate the Texas parimutuel industry, and therefore it should be abolished. The industry I love was facing an uncertain future, and for months, leadership struggled to find a suitable agency to regulate the horse and greyhound industry. It appeared to be headed to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation when Representative Sinfronia Thompson stepped in and her infinite wisdom stopped that approach. Instead, she took on the systemic problems that the agency had, and with the support of the 87th legislature, the agency was continued, but its executive director and its general counsel were fired in statute. Under the direction and guidance of a new chairman, Judge Robert C. Pate from Corpus, the commissioners hired a retired general of the Army with over 35 years of military service. Within 1 year of being on the job, retired General Amy Cook's leadership resulted in widespread changes in employees, fiscal responsibility and accountability have been implemented, and now the agency has the trust and respect of all the people that it regulates. The changes reflected in this proposed bill today are in response to recommendations made by the Sunset Commission, along with long overdue changes that address decades of antiquated approaches and neglect that have occurred at the regulatory level. There are some additional changes, as Representative Thompson outlined, that need to be addressed, revolving some evolution in our industry, but I'm confident that we can work with Representative Thompson and the Texas Racing Commission to realize these changes and finally have the industry see the success that it always knew it could be. Representative Thompson, once again, I thank you. Members, I thank you for the leadership that y'all have exhibited at this commission, and I appreciate the time to testify today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Members, of questions, Mr. Asparty? Seeing none, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4115? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Chair Thompson to close on her bill.
Mr. Chairman and members, looking toward the Texas Derby, I close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If there's no objection, House Bill 4115 will be left pending at this time. Is there objection? Seeing none, House Bill 4115 is left pending. 48. I got you. Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 4857 and recognizes Chairman Wilson to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, and I know you have a heavy load today, so we'll keep it to the point here. 4857 is an interstate cosmetology licensee campaign. Interested parties contend that current law is structured in such a way that the system of licensure and regulation restricts economic mobility and creates barriers to workforce entry in this field. Current law requires cosmetologists to have a separate license in each state that practice, despite the high service demand. Licensees are limited to providing services within state borders. The Cosmetology Licensure Compact forms an interstate regulatory framework between states. The licensure process is particularly burdensome, and where I have significant interest in this is simply because we have a new round of BRAC that's going to be happening for military installations across the United States, and part of the evaluation process is how friendly is it for example, military spouses to be able to receive jobs and so forth like that. This compact is a really great compact for us to look at. It's interesting that it's already being looked at in 8 different states. Last week it passed in Kentucky. I think this is a good set and a demonstration by the state of Texas that we love our military and we love that cosmetology field, and it's a licensure that should be easily obtained and not create any barriers within our agencies. And with that, I think we have a couple of witnesses to include a very good friend of mine, Gordon Logan of Sports Clips, And we'll try to make this fast for y'all because we know you got a heavy load. And with that, I ask the right to close.
You are going to have that. Members, are questions for Representative Wilson? Seeing none, we'll move on to public testimony. Simonson. Okay. Chair calls Virginia Simonson. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Good morning, Chair King. Vice Wally, my friends from North Texas. I am speaking here on behalf of the Texas Council of Chapters, the Military Officers Association, and I'm speaking on behalf of 20,000 of our members here in Texas.
Hang on one second.
For the record, my name is Virginia Simonson.
Okay, Virginia Simonson, but we have you only speaking for Texas Council of Chapters, Military Officer Association of America, and yourself.
Yes, sir.
That's only for the purposes of this hearing, that's who you represent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we have 20,000 members in Texas.
And you are for the bill.
Yes, sir, I am.
Please proceed.
So, as Chair Wilson mentioned earlier, one of the purposes of the bill is to support relocating military members and their spouses by making it easier for them to rejoin the workforce after they move here. Many spouses must relicense each time their members transferred. They face particular barriers when looking for employment, including their service members' unpredictable schedule, expensive childcare, and the amount of time out of the workforce due to their frequent locations. I served for 24 years, and I moved, I don't know how many times, but on average, 2 to 4 years is the average. Anyway, most of our members are enlisted folks. The enlisted pay ranges from $25,000 to $41,000 a year, which is not very high, especially if you're in San Antonio, where we have a lot of military members. I think you'll be doing a great service to the military community and also to the strength of our military force, because people are leaving in droves. We have re-enlistment problems because spouses can't maintain their jobs and their two-income families, especially at the lower enlisted rates. So I would ask you to strongly consider this bill, as well as all of the compacts. DOD, the Department of Defense, is actually pushing for a number of these compacts to be passed across states, just so we can maintain our military readiness. So pending your questions, that concludes my testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, or questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here. Chair calls Gordon Logan. Mr. Logan, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Yes, sir. I'm Gordon Logan. I'm chairman, founder of Sport Clips Haircuts based in Georgetown. We have 1,900 locations across the U.S. and Canada, and we have 250 here in Texas. Also, I'm president of the Future of the Beauty Industry Coalition, which
Mr.
represents...
Logan, just for the record, we only have you registered as Gordon Logan, Future, and testifying on behalf of Future Beauty Industry Coalition and yourself. If you want me to add that other stuff in, we can change it, but that's how you're registered. Is that,
All right, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're for this bill. Please proceed.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. We represent, the coalition represents well over 10,000 salons, including Sport Clips, 250 in Texas, Great Clips, 4,500 nationwide, about 400 in Texas. Regis Corporation, which has Supercuts, they have over 5,000 nationwide and several hundred in Texas. JCPenney, which is based in Plano, they have several hundred locations around the country. So all of these multi-state operations are moving people from state to state. We have educators that go into states to train and so forth, and this would make it much easier for that to happen. Being an Air Force veteran, I can certainly relate to the difficulties of military members and their spouses moving from state to state. The Department of Defense funded the development of this compact, and this would be a big boon to them as well. So.
All right. Members, or questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Is that it? Rosti? Okay. Chair calls Leslie Rosti. Is that correct? Because it's possessed. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Okay, good morning. My name is Leslie Rosti. I represent FBAC, the Future of the Beauty Industry Coalition, and I am in support of this bill. I actually have the pleasure of actually participating in a compact. I participate in the oldest compact, the Nurses Compact, that allows me to work in 42 states besides the state that I live in. And one of the things I like to point out when I'm testifying is that this not only benefits people coming to the state of Texas, it's a temporary solution for people to come here who need to be here for a short period of time to work, but it also benefits your Texas constituents. Your Texas constituents can go and do something temporarily, as Gordon referenced, opening a store, going to live with a relative for a short period of time, but they would be able to do that without any issues with their licensure. It allows full autonomy of the state, so the state gets to decide how many hours, what type of training and what testing you do, so it does not disrupt that autonomy of TDLR and the state. And most importantly, the initial commission, this is a brand new compact initiated this year, so the initial commission is what's being set up right now. That initial commission will write the rules around this law, so how this law is enacted, and big states like Texas that have a lot of licensees, I think it's important to get into the ground level and be able to be part of the rulemaking of how this compact is enacted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Members, questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your
Thank you.
testimony. Appreciate you being here. And who's next? Isabel Ellison? Wally. Ellison? Okay. Chair calls Isabel Ellison? Okay. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
My name is Isabel Eliason with the Council of State Governments, and my position on this bill is neutral. Chair King and members of the committee, I would like to express my appreciation for your consideration of the Cosmetology Licensure Compact. My testimony is meant to provide background educational information on the compact. First, let me provide a little bit of information about my organization. The Council of State Governments is a nonpartisan membership organization for elected and appointed state officials from all three branches. CSG, through its National Center for Interstate Compacts, has facilitated the development process for all 15 of the active occupational licensure compacts, including the 5 that Texas is already a member of, which are compacts for nursing, physicians, psychologists, physical therapists, and EMS personnel. Texas is also a member of 30 other interstate compacts unrelated to professional licensing. This bill would make Texas a member of the Cosmetology Licensure Compact. For the past 18 months, CSG has been developing the compact with stakeholders from the profession, including state regulatory board members, board staff, the cosmetology school representatives, and the business sector. The Cosmetology Licensure Compact is similar in form and function to the 5 occupational licensing compacts that Texas is already a member of. This compact will enable Texas cosmetologists to obtain a multi-state license so they can practice in other states that join the compact, rather than needing an individual license in every state in which they want to practice. Like the compact for a driver's license, each compact member state agrees to mutually recognize the licenses issued by other compact member states. To utilize the compact, a Texas cosmetologist must have a license in good standing in a state that is a member of the compact. When a licensee wants to work in another participating state, the licensee applies for a Texas multi-state license. Practitioners must have passed an exam and completed cosmetology education prior to being licensed. The Cosmetology Licensure Compact preserves Texas's regulatory authority to protect public health and safety through the existing regulatory structure. Unlike national licensure initiatives that supersede state regulatory authority, the compact still allows Texas to continue to determine the requirements for licensure in Texas, as well as to maintain Texas's unique scope of practice for anyone practicing in Texas, whether through a Texas license or a multi-state license. Oh my goodness, so sorry. All right, the Cosmetology Licensure Compact also benefits military families stationed in Texas. If a military family in a compact state gets assigned to a new duty station, the service member or their spouse can continue to work under their current multi-state license. Like all the other occupational licensing compacts, the Cosmetology Licensure Compact will be governed by a commission made up of member states. The delegate will be a representative from the Texas Department of Licensure and Registration and Regulation. The compact will come into effect once it's enacted by 7 states. This compact is very new, so as the previous witness mentioned, there's only one member, but the compact is up for consideration in a number of other states, and there are more states with legislative sessions later in the year that are considering introducing it then as well. Overall, the cosmetology...
Thank you for your testimony. Members, are questions this witness? Seeing none. Thank you for being here. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4857? Seeing none, Chair calls Representative Wilson to close on his bill.
Chairman, members, thank you very much for hearing that. And Mr. Logan, my good friend, he's a true example, a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel in Texas, established a business that's known nationally and provides great opportunity. I see more of these types of things coming about as we continue to demonstrate to the Department of Defense that Texas is truly open for business and veteran friendly. And with that, I close.
Those questions? No.
Are you sure, Mr. Goldman? You seem to be in a rush. I look forward to a couple of questions. Can I give you some? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. No, that's it. Yeah. All right. All right. If there's no objection, House Bill 4857 be left pending. Is there objection? Seeing no objection, House Bill 4857 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 115 and recognizes Representative Ortega to explain the bill.
Good morning, Chairman King and Vice Chair Wally and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to lay out House Bill 115. Current law allows public consumption of alcohol in bars until 2:15 a.m. for businesses that sell alcohol and have permits. Establishments and illegal entities who have no licenses are evading the law by allowing public consumption of alcohol after 2:15 and claiming that they operate as bring your own beverage bar. When local law enforcement learns that non-licensed bars are operating illegally as after-hour BYOB bars, it is difficult, if they are able to at all, to get the Texas Beverage Commission or the TABC involved because they are not licensed by the TABC. After-hour bars are usually set up in a warehouse, in a storefront, or a club, and become an attraction for gang members and other illegal activity. It is difficult for law enforcement to shut them down without the law clearly stating that unlicensed after-hour bars are prohibited from operating under Texas law. House Bill 115 adds language to make it clear that the prohibition on the consumption of alcohol during certain hours applies to all and only public places, regardless of whether they're licensed or unlicensed. I have an attorney from the county attorney's office here to testify, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. And you would like to close?
Yes, and I reserve my right to close.
Well, you're going to get that. Members, are there questions of Ms. Ortega? Seeing none, I think you do have a couple witnesses. We will get started on that.
Thank you.
Chair calls Laurie Christensen. Ms. Christensen, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
Good morning. My name is Laurie Christensen. I'm the Harris County Fire Marshal for Harris County, and I've come to urge your favorable consideration for House Bill 115 regarding the hours of public consumption of alcohol. Really what this does, House Bill 115 clarifies the law, but by stating plainly, hours of public consumption of alcohol as defined in the code applies to all businesses whether they're licensed by the TABC or not. Now, TABC does have 105.06 provides that between 2:15 and 7 a.m., it is illegal to consume or even possess with intent to consume alcohol beverage in a public place. Really what this does is this clarifies that. Now, I'll also say that oftentimes, as it was stated earlier, illicit bring your own BYOB businesses that operate after hours of public consumption are the source of increased DWI offenses, shooting, stabbings, sexual assaults, and gang activity. Basically, what this does is it furthers our agency's enforcement goals as well as ensuring the public safety. Now, this does not impact law-abiding businesses. You can still have a BYOB business. What it says is, as long as they don't allow consumption of alcohol after the hours without a TABC license. Our office, Harris County Fire Marshal's office, has been working in conjunction with the Harris County Sheriff's Office and the Harris County District Attorney's Office in the attempt to regulate these bars. Since 2020, we have participated in over 10 criminal enforcement actions with those stemming from these various activities. The common denominator of these is the criminal locale and the places with after hours. I'll also say this code that we talk about, Fire and Life Safety Code, that most of us in Harris County we have adopted. It's about fire and life safety, but it's also about first responder safety. When these businesses get these TABC licenses, we're able to go in, ensure the safety and the construction and the exits and the fire alarm systems and all those things that are going to make it safe for the consumers. Most are lacking in those required fire protection systems, appropriate egress as well. Currently, what we do is we're having to pull from different statutes, different rules, such as fire marshal orders, violation notices, stop work orders. We even use the Health and Safety Code 343.011, public nuisance, in order to try to shut these down and protect the property and the citizens of the county. I want to thank you for your favorable consideration of these efforts and your invitation to speak today, and I'll take any questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Fire Marshal. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you coming from all the way from Houston.
Thank you, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Harless.
Yeah, I just want to say good morning. It's always good to see a good friend up here, and
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for everything you and the Fire Marshal's office do. Y'all do a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you. Chair recognizes Amy Monsiváis. Please state your name for the record, who you represent, and your position on the bill, please.
Good morning. My name is Amy Monsiváis. I'm an assistant county attorney. I have the honor of representing El Paso County Attorney Joanne Bernal in El Paso County in support of House Bill 115. And the work that I do, there's about 3 industries I see that criminals try to take over. It's massage therapy, lodging, and alcoholic beverage businesses. The good thing and what I see is smuggling and trafficking of narcotics and persons and violent criminal activity. But the good thing is that there are statutes and codes in place on those businesses. So if there is a bad business within those industries, you can apply those statutes and codes. And in the work that I've done, 100% of the time, the businesses do not survive scrutiny. So we're able to close them down and keep them from operating. 115 helps close this loophole that exists in the alcoholic beverages code, excuse me, because right now they can operate without any regulations, without any statutes, without anything to say that a business can't operate and sell alcohol from 2:15 a.m. to 7 a.m. And this has posed a problem for communities, for law enforcement, and is not fair to the licensed and permitted bars that exist already. The crimes that I see, they just sell alcohol. I mean, they're not supposed to, but they do. They also don't regulate the age of the people coming in. So not only are there underage drinkers, there's often juveniles at these places. I've seen juveniles that are exposed to sexual assault and possibly getting groomed for human trafficking. There's narcotics use and the sale of narcotics, marijuana, THC, ecstasy, psilocybin, cocaine. I haven't seen meth or heroin, but everything else. There's violent criminal activity from disorderly conduct to murder and everything in between. So this code will help give some guidance to counties and to cities so that we know that those after-hours bars cannot operate and continue to pose a threat to law enforcement in our communities. I ask for your support of House Bill 115.
Thank you. Members, questions of witnesses? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate your testimony. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on or against House Bill 115? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Ortega from close one.
I would ask that you please close this loophole and report House Bill 115 favorably out of committee. I close. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. If there's no objection, House Bill 115 is left pending at this time. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 115 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 1433, recognizes Representative Johnson.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman King, members of this committee. Proud to bring you House Bill 1433, and this is a refile from last year. Last year, this bill made it out of this committee unanimously and died in the Senate on the last day. What it allows for is for TDLR in giving massage therapy licenses. Currently, there is a bar to anybody that has been convicted under the penal code of fully Chapter 43. This statute amends to include those provisions that would be perpetrators and allows for TDLR to have the ability to identify somebody who was previously convicted under Chapter 4302, which is somebody who has been sold into prostitution, that if they were a victim of human trafficking, that they're not barred from gainful employment in the future. This is something that helps correct all those years that we convicted those who were sold and didn't get it right. We are doing better today, but this again is a new net for TDLR to identify those folks and help them get legitimate gainful employment. We have a number of witnesses, and I appreciate your consideration of this bill.
Yes, ma'am. Members' questions of Ms. Johnson? Representative, I have one.
Okay.
How many how many people are we affecting by doing this? Is this a large problem? And I mean, is there several that have been wrongfully convicted because they were trafficked and now they want a massage parlor license?
I'm going to let TDLR answer that question. I know they've had about 80 folks that have been revoked. I'm going to ask them to speak to the number of people that might impact from this side of what they've seen.
Okay.
I can tell you from my experience in criminal justice, yes, we convicted a ton of people we should not have. At whatever point they come forward and identify and say, look, this was my situation at the time, I think we should give them the opportunity to be heard. And that's all this does, is allow TDL the chance to hear them.
I certainly don't disagree with your sentiment on that. I was just wondering, is there, thinking past what your bill addresses, if there's other opportunities that are being precluded because of a wrongful conviction, that's something that probably should be looked at as well. But we will stick to your bill today and call a witness.
Thank you.
Chair calls Jason Danowski. Mr. Danowski, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
My name is Jason Danowski. I represent myself, and I'm for the bill.
Please proceed.
I am a professional licensing attorney. I have experience representing folks before the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation and several other licensing entities in Texas. And I wanted to humanize the bill a little bit by telling you all the story of one of my clients, Linda Ferrillo, whose approval to tell her story I have. She couldn't make it here today. In 1992, Linda was in a bad way. She was in an abusive relationship. She was on drugs, and she was supporting herself through prostitution. And that culminated in a conviction in 1992 for public lewdness. And from there, the system worked. She rehabilitated herself. She got out of that relationship. She made plans to support herself through massage therapy. And as she received her license for massage therapy in 1996. And this bill, or pardon me, the original text of this statute was in place then. And she held her license from 1996 through the end of the Clinton administration, through the George W. Bush administration, through the Obama administration, and almost all the way through the Trump administration until the summer of 2020. She got a letter from TDLR saying, sorry, you weren't supposed to be licensed, we're revoking your license. How did this happen? From what I can tell, DSHS, this license was transferred in the 2017 sunset from DSHS to TDLR. And TDLR noticed there were a lot of folks that were licensed that should not have been licensed. DSHS was apparently doing an ordinary Chapter 53 review of these licenses. And, if they concluded someone was rehabilitated, they granted the license. And so I represented Ms. Ferrillo in that case. Not a whole lot you can do. The statute's pretty straightforward. And last year, she lost her license that she had held for 2.5 decades for an incident that was 3 decades old. And as that timeline indicates, these people are still coming through. They're still losing their licenses. There's a pretty hefty caseload. Representative King, you asked how many folks does this affect. This is a little bit more, human trafficking victims are a huge component of it, but it affects a lot of people. I did an open records request when the prior bill was pending, and I saw that TDLR had revoked in 2021 163 licenses under this provision. And that number is still going up, and that's not counting folks that are wanting to get licenses now that are unable to do so. I get plenty of phone calls to my offices where, the massage schools don't recognize that these licenses should be granted. People are going through and then realizing they can't get a license.
Thank you, Mr. Janowski, for your testimony, and thanks for those numbers. That's helpful. Members, are questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here. Members, is there a need for a resource witness? Any questions? No, I don't. Nope. That's it? Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on for or against House Bill 1433? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Johnson to close on the bill.
I would again appreciate your favorable consideration of this bill, and I close. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If there's no objection, House Bill 1433 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 1433 left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 30. Oh, next one. We're done. Okay. No, that's not it. Stop. All right. Now we're going. Chair lays out House Bill 3029. Recognizes Representative Johnson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This was brought to me by a constituent, and so this is about eyelashes. It's, a very important cosmetology issue in Texas. Texas currently offers an eyelash extension specialist license, which requires 320 hours of instruction and only permits licensees to provide eyelash extensions. This license does not include services that alter the shape or color of a person's eyelashes, commonly referred to as lifts and tints. Many lash practitioners prefer to provide a variety of lash services for their clients, but in order to provide lifts and tints, a practitioner must have a full cosmetology or esthetician license, which can require up to an additional 1,000 hours of instruction. Furthermore, training courses to provide lifts and tints are readily available, and many practitioners are already performing this service without having the license that is required by law, unfortunately. House Bill 3029 changes the name of the license from eyelash extension license to eyelash specialist license and extends the scope of services under this license to include eyelash lifts and tints as well as eyelash extensions. The expansion of this license would allow practitioners to offer clients additional services to clients and have the statute reflect the direction of the profession is headed. The bill idea came from a constituent who was searching for ways to expand her business without having to shut down. and let her business and go back to school to obtain this additional license. I appreciate your time today. If there are questions, we have my constituent as well as from the TDLR here, a resource witness to answer any questions regarding training, curriculum, and the license itself. If there are no additional questions, I reserve my right to close.
Members, questions of Representative Johnson? Seeing none, I think we do have. Okay. Chair calls Anne-Marie Lorenzini. Ms. Lorenzini, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on this bill.
Hi, my name is Anne-Marie Lorenzini, and I'm here on behalf of myself. I am testifying for House Bill number 3029, and I am for the bill.
Please proceed.
Perfect. Eyelash extensions is an extremely technical skill, requiring a lot of coordination, dexterity, and safety practices. As an eyelash extension artist, we learn a lot about how to safely work around the orbital eye area. We learn that the skin around the eye is 10 times thinner than the skin on the rest of the face. We learn that the natural eyelashes and brow hairs are different than the hair on our head or body. These hairs are much finer and have a much different length of time within the growth cycle and a different porosity. We learn all about the eyelash hairs to ensure that we are able to properly apply eyelash extensions that are not too heavy for the natural eyelashes to support, as this can lead to temporary or permanent damage of the hair or hair follicle. In addition, it's important we do not cause overdrawing of the natural eyelash hairs, as this can lead to breakage and splitting of the hairs. This understanding of lash anatomy is the exact foundation required to perform lash lifting or lash tinting services. When performing these services, it is important to understand, again, that the natural lash hairs are different than the body hair or hair on our head. The same chemical processing times that work for hair on our head doesn't work for the eyelash hairs. With these hairs being so delicate and fine, it can be quite easy to overprocess them without proper training on specifically those eyelash hairs. As it stands currently, a lash artist would need to complete months of schooling in order to offer these additional services. The time without pay is not feasible for many, in addition to learning a chunk of skills that the artist may not use. For example, waxing, hairstyling, or aesthetics. As a lash artist, we have the skills and the foundation to perform the service safely and effectively. There is supplemental training that is required as far as learning how to properly utilize the perming solutions, as different formulations perform a bit differently. With that said, lash artists already hold the knowledge and foundation to be successful at these additional services. Thank you for your consideration on allowing those with lash extension licenses to offer these services.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, are questions of the witness? Seeing none? That's it? Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3029? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Johnson to close on her bill.
Thank you, members. I think this just will allow people who have these businesses to expand their scope just a smidge and offer these services to the consumers that like it. So with that, I close.
Thank you very much. If there's no objection, House Bill 3029 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3029 is left pending. Don't go anywhere. Chair lays out House Bill 3581, recognizes Representative Johnson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Again, this is a similar bill, and it, again, came through a constituent. This will allow for distance learning for the eyelash extension curriculum. This concern was brought to me by a constituent who owns an eyelash extension school in Dallas-Fort Worth. During the pandemic, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation implemented flexible distance learning policies for these licensees. Our constituent and a number of other instructors were able to shift their business models to offer 100% online instruction, which according to the TDLR provided was safe for these licenses. However, in the fall of 2022, the TDLR ended the pandemic policies preventing our constituent from serving the majority of her students. House Bill 3581 would allow schools that offer the eyelash extension course to teach up to 100% of the theory portion of their course through distance education. Schools would still be required to have an in-person practical component of the program. This bill will allow this growing area of business to reach a greater audience and increase access to necessary training. We are working on a committee sub. The implementation will be the same. The sub will simply be a ledge council draft. I appreciate your opportunity, and if you have any questions, I reserve my right to close.
You will have that. Members, other questions of Representative Johnson? Seeing none. All right, Chair calls Anne-Marie Lorenzini. For the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
Sure. My name is Anne-Marie Lorenzini. I'm here on behalf of myself. I'm testifying for House Bill number 3581, and I am for the bill. I have been in the lash industry since 2012, which is the very first year Texas began offering the eyelash extension specialty licensing. In my career, I've developed new products, techniques, and shaped our industry on a global platform through fair trade manufacturing processes in an often exploited industry. I share a short synopsis of my story for this reason. This industry has rewarded me with the ability to grow myself in ways I could have never imagined and to give back in a variety of initiatives in meaningful ways for the industry, my family, and others in my community. There are many brilliant minds out there. However, education inequity and life circumstances hold many back. With the majority of the lash extension industry being female-based, we have the opportunity to help women in a deeper capacity. By allowing online education, women are able to provide themselves and their families, often providing a better quality of life for their children, which are our future generations. In addition, I have firsthand seen many women leave domestic violence situations thanks to the freedom and security this industry can provide. By allowing the ability to complete lash education online, we will see lives transform in ways that otherwise would have never been possible. We were able to see the successes of distant training from 2020 to 2022 through TDLR's pandemic rules. I'd like to leave with one final thought. In order to legally apply eyelash extensions in the state of Texas, one must obtain a license through the state. We can make education accessible and stand behind our licensing by ensuring that the state licensing testing is a fair demonstration of the skills required to perform these services adequately and safely. If there is a concern that online education is not strong enough, my question is this: is it the education platform at fault, or are there opportunities to improve the demonstration of skills in order to receive the TDLR license? Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony, members. Are there questions? Seeing none, thank you for being here. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3581? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Representative Johnson to close on House Bill 3581.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that very short closing. If there's no objection, House Bill 3581 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3581 will be left pending at this time. All right, this way. Chair lays out House Bill 2134 and recognizes Representative Timish to explain the bill.
Thank you, Chairman King. And committee, I appreciate the opportunity to lay out House Bill 2134. My district is located along what is called the Texas Triangle, which links the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, San Antonio, and Houston via major highways and is believed to have the highest concentration of human trafficking. Texas consistently ranks second in the nation for the number of reported human trafficking cases, and illicit massage parlors. Businesses are frequently in front of this horrific crime. Local law enforcement agencies dedicate a great deal of resources to build cases against these criminal enterprises, but building such cases take a significant amount of time. In the meantime, massage establishment owners will open another massage parlor under a different name and continue operating. House Bill 2134 would give cities the ability to regulate massage establishments where there have been convictions of 3 or more arrests, either from the owner or a person within the establishment, for certain human trafficking related offenses, as well as organized crime and money laundering. If a massage establishment falls into these categories, a city could implement stricter regulations, including limiting hours of operation or through the continual use permit process. HB 2134 would provide more flexibility to cities and local law enforcement in their efforts to curtail human trafficking. My intent
for this bill is to target massage establishments and not the women who are being victimized by these criminal enterprises. I'm working on a committee substitute to clarify this and eliminate a language relating to massage therapists, and unfortunately did not get this back in time for today's hearing. Chairman, members, thank you again for the time to lay out this bill. I would appreciate the committee's favorable response to this important bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about House Bill 2134. If there are none, I reserve the right to close.
Members, are there questions of the representative? Seeing none, you do have a couple witnesses.
I do. Thank you.
Chair calls Kevin Deaver.
Thank you, Chair and members. My name is Kevin Deaver, Police Chief of the City of Louisville, testifying for the bill. I've been a police officer for over 35 years and been a police chief since 2018. During my career, I've investigated these types of crimes identified in this bill. According to Polaris, which is the nonprofit that runs the U.S. Human Trafficking Hotline, an estimated 9,000 illicit massage parlors currently operate throughout the country. These businesses generate an average revenue of over $100 million each year, much of it laundered to countries outside of the United States. In 21, Polaris estimated that there were almost 1,100 likely victims of human trafficking employed at these establishments. These illicit massage parlors pose a risk to public health and safety. Louisville has over 25 massage establishments. To the best of our knowledge, 8 of them are connected to the sex industry. In the last year, we have filed 3 cases for promotion of prostitution, 8 for prostitution, 2 for money laundering, and 2 for licensing issues. Thus far, the licensing violations have resulted in TDLR issuing a written warning and referring 1 for possible prosecution. I will add that it is not our goal to arrest potential victims of human trafficking. We provide them with avenues to escape the abuse. Most of these establishments reopen within 24 hours of an enforcement activity and continue to offer the same illegal services. Often employees move to other establishments or relocate to other parts of the state and nation. In my opinion, TDLR does not have the resources to actively respond to the issue, and enforcement is relegated to the local police departments. These investigations are very complex and usually require officers working in an undercover capacity. I simply do not have the resources needed to conduct these investigations. Cities need a way to close a massage parlor at which illegal activity has been repeatedly observed and arrests have been made. Current tools are inadequate for this task, but the proposed bill will provide the tools we need. Thank you.
Members of the questions for the witness? I've got one. You said that the proposed bill would provide the tools that you need. Would the proposed bill not simply allow the city to decide what tools those are? Right? It didn't specify the tools you need.
It specifies that the city would have the option to do different things.
So the city could do anything they wanted to above and beyond state law under this bill?
Under this bill, we would not be preempted.
That's what I wanted to clear up. Members, are there further questions of the witness? Thank you very much for your testimony. Chair calls TJ Gilmore. Mr. Gilmore, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Good morning. My name is TJ Gilmore. I'm the mayor of the city of Louisville, and I'm testifying in favor of the bill. I've served on the Louisville City Council for over 12 years and currently have the honor of serving as mayor for the last 2. This is Louisville's most important issue this session, and I want to thank Representative Themisch for filing the bill and the committee for hearing it today. Louisville is a thriving city of more than 132,000 residents, making us one of the 30 largest cities in the great state of Texas. We're one of the largest small towns you'll ever come across. We're family friendly and we're community focused. We're also challenged by some of the same social and criminal issues that face all larger cities. As you heard from Chief Deaver, criminals are using massage parlors as a guise for prostitution, and local police departments need a way to close a massage parlor where illegal activity has been repeatedly observed and arrests have been made. The proposed bill would allow cities to regulate licensed massage parlors where there have been convictions or multiple arrests for certain crimes related to prostitution, human trafficking, and organized crime. The proposed regulations would close the subject business and make it more difficult for business to resume operations. We believe the state intended to give us the stronger tools in previous sessions. Unfortunately, that power as written is tied to zoning, which means as a city, we regulate these either as healthcare with extended hours. Who's getting a massage at 9 p.m.? What's going on there? Or we have to regulate them as a sexually oriented business, which would be approving illegal activity. What this bill would mean for residents of Louisville and other Texas cities is that they would feel safer because police resources that currently are overtaxed trying to monitor and investigate illicit massage parlors could spend more of their time on neighborhood patrol and other crime prevention activities. What it means for the people, usually young women, who get caught up in this abusive industry is that their chance for freedom and safety would be enhanced. The only people who would suffer a loss from this bill are the people who operate illicit massage parlors as a front for criminal activity, whose business model is built on taking advantage of women and men through human trafficking and the paid sex trade. Please give our local police departments the tools we need to improve the safety of our community and stand up to the users and abusers who game the system and profit from the paid sex trade. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, there are questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2134? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Timish to close on the bill.
Chairman, committee, thank you so much for hearing this bill. If there's no other questions, I close.
Great closing. You're getting so good at this.
You know, the third time's a charm.
I know. It's fantastic. Look. It did go a little long, but the closing was perfect. Thank you. So if there's no objection, House Bill 2134 will be left pending. Is there, oh, did you have more questions? No. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The House Bill 2134 is left pending. I've got too much help up here. 3579. Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 3579 and recognizes Representative Baumgartner to explain his bill briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm glad that you took me after Rep. Timish because my bill pretty much piggybacks hers a little bit. And I don't know what's going on in our two districts, but we have a serious human trafficking issue going on in the city of Louisville. And basically what my bill is going to do is strengthen out the order so that so that municipalities can have the tools in their bag to pretty much stop what's going on and allow judges, after they sign a warrant to do a raid after trafficking has been found out in these establishments, to come in and stop so they can't just change hands, because that's the problem. Right now, you heard the testimony before. What's going on is they'll go in, they'll raid, they'll change ownership, and they'll just continue on like nothing happened. What this will allow is for them to stop the whole entire business until it clears up in the courts, so that another massage parlor can't come in and act in bad faith. There is a little bit of a fiscal note on this, but I don't know what it's going to be, because I don't know if this is just a local issue or if it's subject to just DFW or the entire state. If it's happening in my district and Representative Cronda's district, then it's probably happening in all of our districts. And this is something that we really need to get strong on this. And this will give our municipalities the bite they need to really crack down on this, so that it's hitting these people in their wallets.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
And
well, I just want to say I'm a very strong fiscal conservative, and I wouldn't be bringing this to if there's an issue. And I want to make sure that we have the safest communities. I have two of the safest towns in my district, and I want to keep it that way. We don't want this in our places to live, and no one wants this here. And I have my two witnesses here.
We appreciate that brief opening statement. You do have some witnesses, and we're going to reserve your right to close.
Reserve the right to close. Yes, sir.
We are. Chair calls Kevin Deaver. Mr. Deaver, once again, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Kevin Deaver, Police Chief, City of Louisville. in testimony for the bill.
Yes, sir.
Chair, I've picked up on the time issue. I will not restate everything I was going to state. I will add, TDLR needs a way to close a massage parlor at which illegal activity has been repeatedly observed. This bill would give TDLR the ability to halt the operation of a massage establishment if a law enforcement agency notifies TDLR that the establishment is under investigation for human trafficking, compelling prostitution, or other related offenses. I yield back my time.
Thank you, sir. Members, are there questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Chair calls TJ Gilmore. Mr. Gilmore, once again, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
Thank you, Chair. TJ Gilmore, Mayor of the City of Louisville, testifying in favor of the bill. I am all in favor of giving TDLR more resources. They are overstretched, and this is a tiny fraction of the types of things that they have to oversee. So if we can address that in the session, I would love it. I give you back your time.
Thank you, sir. Members, no questions? Seeing none? Is that it? Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3579? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Representative Baumgartner, who's being chastised by Representative Goldman, to close on House Bill 3579.
And with that, I close. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, look at you. Good job.
Learn from the best.
You want to go to Goldman?
Oh, okay.
So you're next. Okay. Which one?
1380.
Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 1380 and recognizes Representative Hernandez to explain her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, House Bill 1380 would incorporate domestic violence, human trafficking, and sexual assault awareness to the continuing education license requirements for cosmetologists and barbers. This can empower them to safely and appropriately identify victims and offer clients resources and professional help. These salons are one of the few places that individuals who are being trafficked or abused are allowed to go without supervision. Cosmetologists and barbers often develop close personal relationships with their clients. This places them in a unique position to recognize potential victims of domestic violence, human trafficking, and sexual assault. This was previously in the code and was inadvertently taken out whenever the licenses were consolidated, and so this would just be reincorporating that into the requirements.
Okay. There's no two. Members, are there any questions for Representative Hernandez? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1380? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Representative Hernandez to close on her bill.
I close.
Thank you very much. If there's no objection, House Bill 1380 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 1380 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 2016 and recognizes Representative Hernandez to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, House Bill 2016 would make a person ineligible for obtaining licensure as a massage establishment, massage school, massage therapist, or massage therapy instructor if they have been convicted of, entered a plea of novo contendere, pled guilty, or received deferred adjudication for sexual assault or aggravated assault. As we discussed earlier, there are other offenses for which they are prohibited from receiving this license, including prostitution and human trafficking. So this would just add sexual assault and aggravated sexual assault to that list.
Okay. Members, questions for the representative? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2016? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Representative Hernandez to close on her bill.
I close.
If there's no objection, House Bill 2016 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 2016 is left pending. One more down there. It's a 3020. Yeah. Okay. All right. Chair lays out House Bill 3020 and recognizes Representative Hernandez to explain the bill.
Thank you, members. Last one of the day. House Bill 3020 would require massage establishments or massage schools to allow peace officers, TDLR, or their authorized representative to enter the premises to inspect compliance. This legislation was a recommendation from this committee's interim committee report. And Texas is known as a human trafficking hub, and massage establishments are sometimes used as a cover for human trafficking activity in which victims are regularly rotated. Under current statute, law enforcement and TDLR can be denied entry into a massage establishment. This is alarming because it hinders the ability of law enforcement to inspect potential instances of noncompliance, abuse, and human trafficking. Code compliance inspections can expose bad actors and the need for further investigation into potential illicit activities. This legislation will aid efforts to address abuse, noncompliance, and human trafficking. I believe we have a witness here from the Houston Police Department.
Thank you. Members of the questions for the representative. Seeing none, we'll reserve your right to close. And chair calls Jessica Anderson. Ms. Anderson, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on this bill.
My name is Jessica Anderson. I'm a commander with the Houston Police Department, representing the Houston Police Department, and I'm here in support of House Bill 3020.
Please continue.
Thank you. You guys have heard a lot about human trafficking today and how much it is in the massage establishment, so I'm going to skip a lot of what I wrote down because I think you have a pretty good context. What this bill does is let me back up. Under current law, peace officers and TDLR have authority to enter massage establishments and massage schools to conduct inspections. This law has been on the books since 2017. I believe it was put into TDLR's realm as a health issue. We wanted inspectors to be able to check for public health, things like that. But since 2017, there's been a proliferation of human trafficking in these places. The law does not, this bill would allow for a provision to, it's confusing. There are no provisions if entry or access is denied. This bill simply puts that on the books that says that these purveyors of these establishments cannot say no to us when we want to go in to do an inspection. Also, I want to clarify that the inspection authority is limited in scope and only applies to things that are incidental to the issuance of the license and to ensure compliance with the occupations code related to massage establishments. So this isn't broad scale, kicking in the door, we're looking for everything under the sun. This is just to make sure that they are complying with the licensure requirements. Another point I want to make is that they can still say no. This just says that they shouldn't. It's kind of aspirational. There's no penalty associated as the bill is currently written. But we want to encourage people to allow us to do those inspections, both for public health and public safety.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, Representative Patterson has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you would not have to have probable cause to enter the establishment?
Right. And that, as I said, this law has been on the books for a while. It's allowed us to make entry. There are other locations that we have this authority as well. Sexually oriented businesses, nightclubs, bars. I think in the TABC code, it allows us to go in and do inspections for those purposes. And I think all of these establishments kind of are along the same lines. They have potential for nuisance, public nuisance, as well as public health and public safety.
Okay.
So no probable cause necessary because of these laws.
Okay, thank you.
Done? Any other questions for the witness? Seeing none. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your testimony. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on for or against House Bill 3020? Seeing none, Chair will recognize Representative Hernandez to close on her bill.
I close.
Thank you. If there's no objection, House Bill 3020 will be left pending. Is there objection? Seeing none, House Bill 3020 is left pending.
Goldman or you?
I don't have my bill book. We'll let you go. We'll start with you. Yours. 3742. Chair lays out House Bill 3742 and recognizes Chairman Goldman to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3742 amends the occupation code to authorize TDLR to authorize by rule for elimination tournaments to be conducted in Texas and grant immunity to ringside positions from civil liability, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Members, are there questions of Chairman Goldman? Seeing none, we will, you do have a witness?
A resource witness or a witness?
It looks like, oh, he's not here? So, okay.
No.
Do we need a resource
We don't need a
witness
resource
for this? Any members? No, we don't need one, so we're done.
That's why you have to close it.
Okay. Chair calls Wayne Lee. Wayne Lee? Wayne. We're going to show Wayne Lee as not testifying before the bill. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3742? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Goldman to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
If there's no objection, House Bill 3742 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3742 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 3743 and once again recognizes Chairman Goldman to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 3743 is strictly a cleanup bill for TDLR, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Members, are there questions of Chairman Goldman? Seeing none. Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3743? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Goldman to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
If there's no objection, House Bill 3743 be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3743 is left pending.
Yeah. Do that one last.
Yeah, okay.
So which one are we going to?
We're gonna go to 4054.
As everybody can tell, this is the Goldman hour.
Hopefully it's a Goldman 5 minutes or
Chair-
3 minutes.
Chair lays out House Bill 4054 and recognizes Chairman Goldman to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 4054 is twofold. It addresses a lack of ambiguity when referring to excessive discounts across alcoholic beverage code and provides the ability for manufacturers to offer transportation to a facility for purposes of an educational program. Be happy to answer any questions.
Members, are questions for Chairman Goldman? Seeing none, Chair calls Lance Lively. Mr. Lively, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Lance Lively, Executive Director of the Texas Package Stores Association, here in support of House Bill 4054. I couldn't have laid it out any better than Chairman Goldman did. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Members, questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4054? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Goldman to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
If there's no objection, House Bill 4054 be left pending. Is there objection? Seeing none, Chair sees none. House Bill 4054 is left pending. Where are we going now?
The cleanup one? Which
Chair lays out House Bill 4416, recognizes Chairman Goldman to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 4416. I can't talk as fast as I wanted to on this one. Threefold: extends appointment terms to the advisory board from 2 to 6 years, changes requirements of auctioneers to provide written contracts when performing an auction service, and simplifies statutory language regarding disciplinary authority for the agency. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Members, are there questions? Seeing none, Chair calls Todd Kirk.
Mr. Chairman, members, thank you, Todd Kirk, for representing the Texas Auctioneer Association in support of the bill. Thank you to Chairman Goldman. Thank you, TDLR. I'm happy to answer any questions. If not,
Are there questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4416? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Goldman to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
If there's no objection, House Bill 4416 will be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 4416 is left pending. 17. Chair lays out House Bill 4417, recognizes Chairman Goldman to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, House Bill 4417 corrects and removes the regulation of drug and alcohol driving awareness program under TDLR, since several areas of statute already address regulation of alcohol and drug awareness, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Members, are there questions of Chairman Goldman? Seeing none? No, we don't have anybody. Members, we do have a TDLR here if there is a question for a resource witness. Seeing none, is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 4417? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Goldman to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
If there's no objection, House Bill 4417 be left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 4417 is left pending.
They're coming with your bill now.
Okay.
But I don't know, can we get through all 7 witnesses there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get through 7 witnesses.
What's the number?
37, 46.
Oh, they're all against it. No, we're not getting there.
If you want to read off my screen, I can talk about things on here.
Okay. One to me. We ran out of representatives. Hang on a minute. All right. Chair lays out House Bill 3878. Members, this is my bill. It is a cleanup bill for the Texas Real Estate Commission. If there's any questions, we do have a resource witness. Seeing none? We do? Okay. It's mine. So, okay. Chair calls Trey Bates. Mr. Bates, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on this bill.
My name is Trey Bates, Vice President of Government Affairs for Texas Realtors, and we're in favor of HB 3878. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your support and carrying this bill. This is truly a cleanup bill. It is a bill that unanimously was approved by the House last session. That got caught up in some calendar issues on the other side. But we hope that this gets worked out, and thank you again.
Thank you. Members, are there questions of the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3878? Seeing none. I close. The committee substitutes withdrawn. If there's no objection, House Bill 3878 is left pending. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 3878 is left pending. Go back to you and start your. Okay. What's the bill number?
3746.
3746. All right. Chair lays out House Bill 3746, recognizes Representative Goldman to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 3746 repeals the registration and regulatory provisions for code enforcement officers and sanitarians. As currently written, TDLR would no longer be required to license these professions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Members, are questions for Chairman Goldman? Seeing none, we'll begin public testimony. Chair calls Jerry Pina. Mr. Pina, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
Good morning. My name is Jerry Pena. I represent the Code Enforcement Association of Texas and myself, and we're opposed to it. As a licensed code enforcement officer, this is a necessity to every single city and town in the state of Texas. Today's code enforcement officers are officers that are certified and experienced professionals. In any given day, code enforcement officer may function as a problem solver, communicator, mentor, researcher, or as an educator. One of the biggest myths about code enforcement is that they strive to hand out many citations as possible. This couldn't be further from myth but truth. Our primary goal is to protect the safety of being out in the public as we do through proper education. Not only that, as a licensed code enforcement officer, before you renew your license, you have to take CEUs, you have to take trainings. Therefore, it benefits the code enforcement officer and the town and the city to have a trained officer in the field. As code enforcement officers, we care and we are here to help our citizens. We work together with other communities and help resolve quality of issues, and we help keep our communities safe. Many cities throughout the state of Texas have created or designed programs to engage with the public, create private civic pride, and build community trust while making our neighborhoods safer and more beautiful. For example, working together with programs such as Keep Texas Beautiful. Code enforcement officers have an intricate, challenging, and demanding role. It is a job that is constantly evolving and changing. Code enforcement officers also, code enforcement officers provide communities with many benefits which can profoundly impact and enhance the quality of life, health, and safety of the residents, which support of legislators, others can come and understand and appreciate the respect and the contribution and the service that code enforcement officers provide to their communities. Thank you.
Thank you for testimony. I believe Chairman Goldman's got a question.
Mr. Premier, thank you for being here. Don't cities, counties, subdivisions oversee code enforcement?
Cities, counties, and what, sir?
Subdivision, I mean, isn't code enforcement overseen at the local level?
Yes.
So why do we need the state oversight as well?
Well, without the state's support and everything, we need to have the license in order to have our trainings. It benefits us in having our
The
trainings.
cities and counties won't enforce the fact that code officers should be trained at the local level?
They have to be trained, but to maintain our license, we have to have that.
What's the point of the license?
The point of the license is you're gonna have more training throughout the state, throughout the year. So we go to different complaints. It could be environmental, junk vehicles, highways.
Correct, and the cities and counties oversee that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Members looking for further questions, this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Chair calls Casey Roman. Ms. Roman, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Yes, good morning, Chairman and members. My name is Casey Roman. I'm the current president of the Texas Environmental Health Association, and I'm also a registered code enforcement officer. We are respectfully opposing House Bill 3746. This particular bill, Texas law provides a registration for sanitarians and code enforcement officers. A sanitarian is not a garbage truck driver. It is the next level of an educated health inspector. We provide individuals that protect our food supply, our water systems, and other public systems, and they have to demonstrate a competency and receive extensive continuing education in their fields to be able to enforce these codes. House Bill 3746 would repeal the laws that relate to sanitarians and code enforcement officers. It would jeopardize public health and upend our local public health force. So this issue was determined by the Sunset Commission in 2015, and they kept the licenses and they moved them from the Department of State Health Services over to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. And it has been a very successful partnership. The system works well, and right now we have hundreds of registered sanitarians with years of education and experience, and they would lose their status as a registered sanitarian. And many of them would lose their jobs because HR departments currently require Texas to have their RS credential. Switching to a national credential could take up to 4 to 7 years, and that would cause a huge lack of enforcement in the meantime. The current registration system works well and it ensures that cities and counties and other public health entities can hire professionals with basic core competencies in environmental health. There is a lot of education that is required for the jobs that we provide. It would be like asking a police officer to conduct police business without the proper education of the laws. The laws that you pass here are essential for our citizens and for the health and safety of our citizens. Code enforcement officers, health inspectors, sanitarians, we are the boots on the ground that enforce the laws that you pass. And without the proper education, it would be negligent of us. We would have a very hard difficulty enforcing those laws. It is imperative that these people have the proper education and licenses to follow these very strict legal procedures. Without having these licenses, code enforcement officers and RSs, which are sanitarians, this enables us to legally and safely enforce the health and safety of our families, our citizens, and all Texans. And thank you for allowing me to speak, and I would welcome any questions.
Chairman Goldman.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You brought it up. Local police officers are not state trained. Local police officers are trained by academies by their local cities and counties.
But they're also licensed through the state.
But-
And that license mandates the number of continuing education hours, what topics that we have to inform, and it also educates us on the laws that we're supposed to enforce.
Okay, the cities and counties can do that. They don't need the state to do it. It's not needed. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question. You said there are hundreds of sanitarians out there, and
Yes, sir.
pardon my ignorance, I had to get named chair of this committee before I ever heard the word sanitarian. So what exactly you said they're not garbage truck drivers? What does a sanitarian do?
So
In a
sanitarians.
nutshell, I mean, we got a hard stop
No
here.
problem. It's all manner of environmental health. So you're talking foodborne illnesses, foodborne outbreaks, health inspectors, restaurant inspections, temporary food establishments, environmental spills, oil spills, overflows, illegal dumping. The list goes on and
So
on.
a sanitarian is the person who would oversee the people doing the cleanup, or
The actual inspector that enforces the laws and the codes.
That's what I was trying to find out. Thank you very much for your testimony. Members, other questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Chair calls John Schrader. Mr. Schrader, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, your position on the bill.
Thank you for having me today. My name is John Schrader. I am representing myself, the Texas Environmental Health Association, the Texas On-Site Wastewater Association.
One second, Mr. Schrader.
Yes.
You are registered as John Schrader, representing Texas Environmental Health Association and yourself. For the purposes of this hearing, that's what I have. If you want to add things to that, we can do that, but.
Could you please, I am also.
Then come on up here and let's get this fixed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, who are you on behalf of?
You've got Environmental Health Association, and there's the Texas On-Site Wastewater Association.
Texas on-site, all one word? Or
On-site is
hyphenated? On-site,
Wastewater Association.
myself.
And yourself.
Okay. It is updated.
Okay, we'll start over. Okay, so we got it all in there, correct now? Okay, so, Mr. Schrader, just for the record, I have you on the record registered as John Schrader, testifying on behalf of Texas Environmental Health Association, Texas On-Site Wastewater Association, and self, and you are against House Bill 3746. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Please proceed.
Okay. Well, thank you all for having me here today. Many professions require a licensure, registration, or certification. These all require education, competency testing, and continued education in order to maintain those licenses. The CEO, the code enforcement officer, the site evaluators for on-site sewage facilities, and registered sanitarians all serve to provide a demonstrated level of education of the science behind the practice of these professions that are governed by the laws and rules of the state of Texas, local ordinances, and county orders. Why? Simply put, number one, protection of our environment, and two, the prevention of disease. Success is measured by the low number of Texas citizens not contracting illnesses and not winding up in the hospital and not dying because of all of this. That is part of our problem of the invisibility of our professions. As long as we're doing our job well, you're not hearing the reports of all of the disease transmission and the deaths that do occur. So we've learned much of this through the history of human existence to recognize and define what causes or what constitutes environmental contamination and its threats to health, and the pathogens and toxins that cause the disease. And what can we do to minimize and prevent those transmissions from occurring in the first place?
This is the value of the site evaluator, the code enforcement officer, and the registered sanitarian to the citizens of Texas. I am a sanitarian and a site evaluator, on-site sewage installer, maintenance provider, 15 years working for a local health department as a sanitarian, 23 going on 24 years as an on-site sewage facility designer and installer and maintenance provider. It took 4 years of education to get that to get my degree that allowed for the registered sanitarian. 2 years of on-the-job training. Had to pass a very significant test. The test is a very real test for the sanitarian. And then we continue on with CEUs. I've been, as y'all can probably add that up, this 38 years of this profession. Very proud of what I've been able to do in service to our communities. The registered sanitarian is an equivalence to the professional engineer in the world of on-site sewage facilities. The registered sanitarian allowed me to apply for and pass the test for the site evaluator. The site evaluation is what leads to the information needed to create a design for an effectively functioning on-site sewage facility. One size does not fit all. A septic system is not a septic system across.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Schrader.
Okay.
Members or questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here. Okay. Chair calls Randall Gillette. Mr. Gillette, for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on this bill.
My name is Randall Gillette. I'm the Executive Director of Texas On-Site Wastewater Association. We are vehemently against this bill. This would decimate the on-site wastewater industry. Designs are done, like John Schrader just said, by RSs and PEs. Site evaluations are done by mostly RSs. Inspections are done by sanitarians. The only thing that separates us from third world countries is sanitation. And you want to remove sanitarians from being able to be licensed in this state, educated in this state? This is ludicrous, in my opinion. And our members, who I represent about 800 currently, are vehemently opposed to this bill. This would be detrimental to public health and safety in Texas. Please let this die in committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Members or questions of this witness? Seeing none? Thank you for your testimony.
Why are you staring at me?
Okay.
Why are you laughing?
Van Chair calls Eric Van Gesbeek. I know I butchered that, so for the record, please state your name, who you represent, and your position on this bill.
My name is Eric Van Gosbeck, and I'm a registered sanitarian. I'm here for Hays County and myself, and I am adamantly opposed to the bill.
Please continue.
In order to become a registered sanitarian, just about anywhere in the United States requires licensing at the state level, and it requires a great level of expertise and education and experience. And I believe that this should be administered at the state level so that the education requirements, the expertise is consistent across the state so that we don't have different levels of it being something in Houston versus something in Dallas versus San Antonio, things like that. Randy Gillette just mentioned that removing the sanitarian law decimates the on-site wastewater industry. That's a fact. I regulate a lot of septic systems in Hays County, fastest growing county in the United States. And there's a lot of septic systems being put in all over the place. The majority of the septic designers are registered sanitarians. If you remove registered sanitarians from being able to design these septic systems, it's left to a giant void. Only engineers would be able to do that, and only certain civil engineers that actually have the expertise in the on-site wastewater industry, and that's not very many people. With the amount of people moving into Texas every single day, and a lot of people are still living in very rural environments, You're not going to be able to get these things permitted, inspected, designed in a very prompt fashion. And we owe it to our citizens to maintain sanitarian law here in the state of Texas.
Thank you for testimony. Is there, members, the questions of this witness? Seeing none, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll do one more. Who? Okay. Tom. Okay. Chair calls Ton Mass.
John?
It says Ton. It says Ton. So I'm assuming you're not Ton. Would you come up here and let's make sure we get you everything straightened out here.
Is it Tom?
It's Jon.
J-O-N.
Okay, so you're John. Okay.
One of the ladies came out and filled it out for me.
All right, John Mass.
Is there, okay.
Go ahead.
We're ready for you then.
John Moss. I'll go by Ton if I need to.
No, sir. We have you registered as John.
Okay. I'm a sanitarian practicing for 15 years.
Hang on a second. Please state your name, who you represent, and your position on the bill.
John Moss. I represent myself as a designer, and I'm opposed.
Please proceed.
Found out about this Monday morning, and I started calling the jurisdictions I work with, and everybody was just, what's going on? What are they thinking? We design a lot of septic systems. Travis Hayes Williamson is a lot. And the point was brought up, we've got 50, 60 permits in review. If you take away the sanitarian license, people can't close on their house. They can't move in. And with the value of these properties, what do those people do? Randy's right, Eric's right. This does not make any sense. It would decimate the industry.
Okay.
And, that's it in a nutshell. You're going to get the same thing from everybody.
And I appreciate that. Members, there are questions of this witness? I see none. Thank you for being here. Appreciate
Welcome.
it. Sorry about the confusion. Members, we are on a hard stop to get to the floor, so at this time, Chair.
You have to leave the building.
Oh, I do that first?
Yeah, you have to leave
Okay.
the building.
This time, we're going to leave House Bill 3746 pending. We will pick it up after, upon adjournment. The chair moves that the committee stand in recess until final adjournment or recess of the House or during the bill referral if permission is granted. Is there objection? Hearing none, the motion prevails. Committee stands in recess.